All right, welcome back to the Are You in the Book podcast. My name is Eric Wobanaw, the president of the Baseball Bluebook, and today we are excited to have head coach Scott Nasby with Drury University right here in Springfield, Missouri with us. Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing great. A little sweaty after working outside, but great summer day so far.
Man, it's a beautiful day, and I appreciate you joining us. Before we begin, make sure that you are subscribing and liking the channel. We're on YouTube, all of the audio podcasts, and you can follow us on social. Coach Nasby's contact information can be found in the Baseball Bluebook directory. You can download for free. All of his information is there. So as we begin all of the episodes, it's really about you, Coach, and we'd love to hear about the journey to the head coach of Drury. I know there's not a lot of stops, which is exciting to hear kind of how you have helped build the program. So I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, it's I've been pretty lucky in the coaching world. Normally you jump from place to place and volunteer for a while, get paid a little bit here and there, and then have to make another change. And I've really been lucky. So I played at Missouri State here in town. So I was there from 2002 to 2005. Played all the infield positions and caught, and was lucky enough to play in Rosenblatt in the World Series in 2003. And just continued to grow my love of the game. When I finished up college, didn't really know what I wanted to do, went into some sales, and realized pretty quick that I wanted to keep coaching. At that time, we were starting a program at Drury University. We didn't have baseball here in town. Drury's here in Springfield, Missouri, along with some other schools. And Coach Stratton, my high school coach from Glendale, was starting it and asked me to be the graduate assistant. And I was couldn't have got out of my sales job any quicker to try to get back out there, get back on the field, get outside, and start coaching. So after about 6 months, I coached over in Italy before we started our program. And then from there, ended up rolling over to Drury as the GA, and that was the fall of 2006, and haven't left ever since.
That's great. You know, one of the things I hear a lot from coaches is the value of keeping connections and networking within the coaching world, right? There's always somebody there. You talked about even your high school head coach giving you a call and saying, hey, we're doing this. Talk a bit about that and the world of college baseball, because there's a lot of teams, but it's pretty tight knit, right? There's a group of people. The connections are pretty amazing. So just talk about the value of keeping those connections and the networking that goes along with college baseball.
Yeah, I think it's valuable for numerous reasons. And again, most coaches don't stay at one home, so you can develop, your tree a little bit more. But the way we've seen it at Drury is we have so many of our players who now coach, or so many of former assistants or GAs or people that have rolled through us that have now expanded out. So the coaching tree reaches pretty far. And, one of our alums is the hitting coach for the Baltimore Orioles, Matt Borgschulte, and Trevor Richards is in the big leagues right now with the Blue Jays. Sterling Sharp was in the big leagues with Marlins. Ricky Meinhold, the 2008 alum, is the pitching coordinator for the Toronto Blue Jays. With a lot of our other alums kind of floating around. Caleb Schmitz at Lee University as the pitching coach. They had a tremendous year, and a lot of high school coaches sprinkled in around the state. So as you stay in touch with those players, players who played for us 15 years ago or 2 years ago, whether it's club ball or high school ball, to be able to stay in touch with them through phone calls and see them at weddings and see them at the alumni weekend is something that we grow our Drury base strong, but also developing a relationship with junior college coaches and four-year coaches. So when you're looking for transfers or you're talking to kids about maybe what they saw, or maybe they caught someone that was maybe above them and they'll hand them down to us, or if I see someone that's clearly above us, I can hand them on to someone else. So it's all about relationships, and sometimes we're going after the same guys, but you want to have some camaraderie on the recruiting trail. That doesn't need to be hostile at all times. So you want to find some buddies out there too.
It's almost like the game, right? It's when you're ready to go compete with them, it's one thing, and then after the game, it's kind of shaking the hands and kind of moving forward. I appreciate that. Now, a lot of changes in the world of college baseball, just obviously just across college sports, and Drury being a Division II, you named a whole lot of really pretty awesome, players coming out of your program. I'd like to hear from you. You have a lot of people going Division I, right? The Power Fives. Division II is pretty darn good baseball. I'd like you to talk about kind of as these parents and players are starting to take a look at where where they can play, the level of play from a Division II perspective in your perspective.
Yeah, I think as families and players decide what level they want to play at, you have to start with what you want out of the process. Do you want to travel with an SEC team but maybe not get a chance to play as a freshman? Do you want to go somewhere in redshirt and say the whole goal for a full year is to put on some strength and watch other guys play? And for some guys, they want to play for 4 years. A lot of guys who choose the Drury route choose the academic route where they know this is what I want to do academically. I don't want to have to transfer twice, and I don't want to have to worry about where I'm going next year because I'm focused on what I'm doing here. So, I think families figure out financially what can we handle, where in the country do we want to go, and then what type of playing role could I potentially have? And the best way to do that is to go watch those teams play. Obviously Division I, it's a little
Great
bit
point.
easier to see those guys, but pretty much NAI, D2, D3, junior colleges, everything is streamed. If you really want to see if you're going to be able to play there as a freshman, then go see how many freshmen they have playing currently on their team. Go find the seniors on that team and see if you think you can fill that role. See the strength levels you have compared to them. And if you don't match up to those guys, it doesn't mean you might not be able to get a spot on that team or maybe a small scholarship, but there's a good chance you're not going to be playing if you yourself are not currently better than some of those guys on that team. So, we're trying to find guys who want to play early on. We're trying to find guys who academically is very important to them. And sometimes maybe don't have that financial loophole because Drury's $35,000 a year tuition. And so you got to find those good mixes of good students, good athletes, and good humans, and we're going to make sure we do it in that order.
Oh, that's fantastic. We talk about fit a lot on this program. Coaches have different ways of doing it. You kind of spelled it out very well, right? Location, financial, the academics, baseball comes into play there. But I think what your point was great, and I encourage everyone. I've always encouraged everyone, go watch these games, right? At any level, the playing level, I think it will impress most people that have not caught a game at college, right? It's the top guys from high school coming to the next level. And we're really trying to find that. You talked about you're looking for people that are really want to be there for 4 years. What I hear then is, and most people probably hear this, is there's an aspect of development that goes on. There's an aspect of building the team and really looking for a difference than just win at all costs. Talk about kind of how you're putting together this team. What is important you're looking from a character's perspective, location, what the parents are like, just really get into in your head as far as what really are you looking for? Because skills are easy. I think that's probably the easiest part to kind of determine if they can play for you. It's really the other things that you're talking about.
Yeah. My staff and I and my family, we want to be around people that we enjoy,
Yeah.
And so that's families, that's grandparents, that's parents, that's kids. That's their siblings who are going to be at the game. We want to recruit families that want to be here. What we don't want to do is have to go to the end of the earth to try to convince a kid this is really what they want. If they don't want to be here, then I'm sure there's somewhere else for you. You have to go on visits and meet the staff and understand the situation that might be in front of you, and you have to fall in love with it. And if there's some things that you don't love, then there's a good chance you may not be there for 4 years. And in the world of the transfer portal, we're trying to bring kids in who graduate and get job offers before they graduate to make sure they're set up for the rest of their life. And we would love for baseball to get in the way till they're 45 years old. Trevor Richards is in year 7 and 8 of the big leagues. He's making good money. That's one alum in the last 18 years who's making a lot of money playing ball, and the alumni base is passionate about him. But Max Elmer last year, our starting left fielder, got a job offer as a sophomore. We got kids trying to go to med school and kids studying for the CPAs and getting into law school. So it's beyond baseball at many levels. It's less of a business than it is at the Power 4 level now. But I think the disparity of playing level between the high level D2s and the mid majors, non-Power 4, it's just depth. I think our conference in the GLVC has proven that we can compete at the highest levels, and it's just a matter of depth with the amount of money that certain programs have scholarships for.
You really brought up a good point. It's really the academic side, the Power Four really being that business, the kind of that direct line. But then the D2s, the other ones are really focused on what you're trying to accomplish and help these kids do, and finding their path, even if it is baseball, right? But it's really that academics and finding those. So, Coach, you and your staff, Drury being Springfield, Missouri, Southwest Missouri, for those that don't know, a lot of schools around, a lot of good baseball as well. Where do you guys go? Are you guys, a lot of things are changing, right? You got the showcases, you got the travel balls, high school programs all over the place. How are you guys kind of evaluating players, and what's the best way of getting in contact with you guys and making sure that if I'm someone that's interested in playing Drury, how do I get in touch with you guys and let you know what I can do?
Yeah, obviously the whole staff has emails and Twitter accounts and social media profiles, and those are one way to at least start. To say we respond to every single email that we get from a recruit, that's definitely not the case. But we can point them in the direction of a camp, or if we're getting emails from kids we can't respond to yet because they're not old enough, we'll kind of log those away. But the best place is for us to see you in person. So if you're not from the Midwest, if you're in a travel team that is traveling to the Midwest, that's going to help us. If you don't come to the Midwest, then it's going to have to be some video. I can tell you, not too many kids that just send video in from one of the coasts normally ends up making it to us. We want to meet the kid in person. We want to meet you in family. We want you guys to meet us in family, or sorry, in person.
Yeah.
Because if we just have a conversation over the phone and have some virtual chats, and then you get face to face, and you're like, man, this is not what I was expecting. That's a big decision you made over the phone. And so we really try to recruit the Midwest pretty hard. Kansas City, St. Louis, Tulsa, Fayetteville, Little Rock, they're all about 3 to 4 hours from us. We don't go too far outside of those areas, although there are teams from 8-10 hours that travel to those spots. So most our kids are from Missouri, Illinois, Oklahoma, a couple Iowa, and we've had some Florida. We had a kid from Japan last year, which was awesome. Hakanori's back in Japan now, and a Brad Drury graduate. And a handful of kids from Southern California. So the big thing is getting it in front of a program that you want. Every program has camps. Our prospect camps are the best way for us to see you in person. And then for us to catch you, at a summer tournament's normally where we're going to see you. We're not going to as many showcases as we have in the past, just because they're almost all virtual. So not saying there isn't any benefit to it, because you can get good video out there. Coaches definitely dig into that, and that can be a good starting block for you.
You talked about family, right? Being around people that you like to be around, right? I'd like to go into that a bit, because one of the things I find that's really important and valuable of what these interviews are doing is parents and players can kind of see the person, right? The coach behind the X's and O's and kind of what's going on. When you talk about that, what are some of the questions, some advice, some things that you really find that help players, even if they're at the level of kind of helping develop what they want to be? What's some advice as a head coach that would help these players make it to a team like Drury?
Yeah, I think establishing a few of those check mark boxes before you start visiting, before you start getting involved in some camps, some prospect camps. If you're going to be a senior in high school and you're not receiving phone calls, and you think going to the University of Arkansas is going to get you a scholarship, that's not going to happen. And there can be some late bloomers. So I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but there's kids who are really good as freshmen that maybe not grow as much as some of the other kids. So there's some late bloomers, but the big thing is figuring out is Drury an option? Is it a financial option? Or is junior college a route that I want to consider as well? Is academics something that is important to me? If you want to go to med school, you need to find a 4-year school right off the chute that you can start getting good job shadow hours and developing relationships with teachers. And that's something we do really well here. If you are an architecture student, there's not many places in the country you can play baseball and be an architecture student, but Drury is one of those places. And so trying to find the good academic fit, the athletic fit, the financial fit. And the only way you do that is have conversations. If you're going to jump at the first D1 offer that you get, it may be a terrible fit for you, and there may be a D3 that's a great fit for you, but financially it doesn't work. So, figuring out if you would get government assistance is huge too, so filling out that FAFSA to figure out if you can get government Pell. Can open up some more doors for some families as well.
It's quite a journey for parents to go through in the baseball world, right? You mentioned, D3 being the East Coast is a lot more D3s, D2s in the Midwest, the financial aspects of those. Now let's talk about your philosophy, kind of coaching philosophy. What are you and we mentioned this earlier, the development side, the coming in and playing right away. How do you kind of run that? How do you determine who's the right fit? Is it always the best man next? Is everybody competing for those spots each year? To kind of talk about just the overall philosophy of what you're trying to accomplish and build at Drury University.
Yeah, the goal in the fall is for everyone to show up healthy, and if everyone's healthy, then we can play and practice quite a bit to kind of see how those things shake out. A lot of guys will use up some summer reps, in the Northwoods League or Coastal Plains or Prospect League, and so some of our best arms may not throw in the fall because they've already have an established role in the program. So a guy like Cody Ball, who's going to leave us our all-time career wins and strikeouts and innings and you name it, leader after this next year with his 5th year in the program. If he only throws 15 innings in the fall, we understand what he can do. So there might be some guys where we're doing a velo phase or developing a breaking ball a little bit more, or we're hitting the weight room a little bit harder for some guys. For freshmen coming in, we want to see what they can do compared to the starters. So positionally, we try to get everyone about 75 at-bats in the program in the fall. We have a JV team, which allows us to play some outside opponents, some JV, some JUCO games. And to be able to scrimmage 3 days a week is huge for us as well. But we're going to be lifting 4 days a week, playing 3 days a week, practicing twice a week. So you need to make sure as a prospective student athlete, wherever you go, you're going to be off and running late August. So the summer months are not a time to hang out and get a tan.
I love it. You brought up a lot of really good points there, and I appreciate you kind of going into depth of kind of what you guys are expectation. What is some advice for players? And maybe it's not advice, maybe it's what your expectation is of incoming freshmen to the program. And really, I'd like to hear from a head coach of what these players should expect to go into the collegiate, right? It's not a time, I see a lot people going, hey, I've committed to this. That commitment and what happens next is really the most valuable time and what they, the decisions that they're making. So talk a bit about what is the expectation just from a collegiate perspective of making that jump from high school to college.
The biggest thing is the weight room, size and strength and speed. So it's understanding that we have high school kids coming in who we want to play, who are on scholarship. And they'll be 17 years old when they move in or 18 years old when they move in, and they're competing against 22, 23-year-olds because normally the upperclassmen are the guys who do start. So not saying young guys can't start. Connor Bain started every game now for us, I believe, for the last 2 seasons in center. And we've had freshmen come here. Caleb Cole played every single game for 4 years for us at shortstop, kid from Lee Summit North. And there's definitely opportunities for freshmen to play, but the physicality and the competitiveness has to grow. So that's playing as much as you can, as well as eating right and being in the weight room. So the balance of prospect travel teams traveling to Georgia and the World Wood Bat, and or should I stay home and train? And so I'd say half our freshmen coming in are mainly focusing on the lifting aspect of it this summer.
Yep.
Where a handful of other guys are continuing to play and travel around a little bit. But once you commit to a program, in my mind, you don't need to spend too much time on the road. You already know where you're going. No one else needs to see you play. So you might spend more time in the weight room than being seen by a bunch of scouts who don't need you.
That's great advice, Coach. That summer between your senior and your freshman year, getting bigger, stronger, faster really is important. And that you're seeing it across the board, right? Down at the high school levels, implementing some of the training programs, the lifting programs, and just getting to understand what it takes, right? You may not be doing what you're doing at the collegiate level, but understanding kind of the reps and building some of those habits that you may or may not have. Do you see that, Coach, as things that you have to work on from when you're bringing in kids, or are you looking at kids that are actually already disciplined in some of those areas? Or is that one of those things that you look at and kind of go, hey, we can work on the discipline side. They just need this, this, and this.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to not play if you're not physical. coming from myself, who was probably 170 pounds when coming out of high school and a slow second baseman. And yeah, I was nowhere close to being good enough to play as a freshman. So, spending more time in the weight room allowed me to get a little bit closer and to kind of catch some of those older guys as the career went on. But it's something that you have to be disciplined. You have to enjoy, because it's not just something to go check off the list. Because I got 49 guys in our program, and you got 48 guys who get after it, and one who just does what they're supposed to do, and that's it. Those other guys are going to pass you. So I think one of the big things in college too is the guys who have success have a good idea of how to handle their time, their free time. You actually have quite a bit of free time, because you're not doing chores for your parents, and you're not traveling around and watching little sister play softball anymore. And there is a lot for you to do, but you get to decide what you do with your 24 hours once you hit college. So those guys who spend extra time in the weight room and in the cages at night, we have an indoor facility that has 24-hour access to it. So those guys who spend more hours in there, they naturally become better hitters than the guys who play more video games. So it's just kind of the way it maps out.
Isn't that funny? There's a lot of time. We do have a lot of time. It's scheduling it and being disciplined on that. I appreciate that, Coach. You mentioned a few things about Drury University, and I'll let you go ahead and kind of highlight them again. But Drury, private university, Springfield, Missouri. You mentioned a few things that I wanted to make sure that people know. The architecture one, the pre-med. This is a pretty awesome school. I mean, the academic side of Drury University is second to none. And so just talk a bit about Drury as a university. Rural, is it urban? Is it what can someone expect coming to Drury University?
Yeah. So Springfield's the third biggest town in Missouri. So Kansas City, St. Louis, and Springfield, about 200,000 if you add in the outside surrounding towns, maybe about 250 now. But Springfield's a great college town. Missouri State's literally across the street from us, who has about, I think, 25,000 students. We're at about 1,600. Evangel University has a couple thousand. Mission University is up and going again, and then you have Ozark Technical College. So there's probably about 40,000 college students in a pretty good sized town. So we try to find kids who want the personal feel in the classrooms, develop relationships with their teachers. Kids who don't want to go to a small, tiny little town, but maybe they're from a smaller town and they don't want to be overwhelmed in classes of 700 in a big lab at a state school. So you kind of get a little bit of both. Where the city's good size, there's plenty to do. There's an airport that can get you anywhere, and not too far from a lot of different hubs. But academically, business, architecture, pre-med are three of our top majors. We have a brand new business center the O'Reilly family built for us, who are Drury alums and Drury supporters. We have a brand new baseball field that's a $1.7 million field that I'm going to flip the camera for you on, that you can see right here. So we are doing some great things. Our women's basketball team is always one of the best teams in the country. And we have 31 sports. Our shotgun team won the national title this last year.
Nice.
We have bass fishing. Basketball, soccer, you name it, 30 plus sports, and Drury's up and going. The last three classes of our freshmen have all been increases in enrollment, where a lot of other liberal arts schools in the country are going down. We're going up.
Drury's a really great place. If you have not checked it out, make sure you check out Drury University and head coach Scott Nasby. Coach, I appreciate you joining the Are You in the Book podcast. I appreciate everything. Good luck with everything.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.